What's up, YouTube? Not a huge fan of starting my session with any cardio, but if you guys have been following for any length of time, you may have picked up on the fact that not too long ago I ended up injuring myself, which has been a huge struggle. Not that I thought it would be, but just before Christmas I ended up tearing my adductor. I was being a little bit silly and a bit pressed for time. Ended up doing some heavy walking lunges without properly warming up and felt my right adductor go. Wasn't ideal. I ended up pushing through it and finishing off the session, which in hindsight was a very stupid thing to do. Took sort of 4 to 6 weeks to get back into any form of lower body training. I could do basic isolation movements like leg extensions, calf raises throughout that period. But for the most part, compound movements were out of the equation. Got back in a fairly regular routine and got under the bar again. I think I had 160 kilos on my back, which at the time wasn't too heavy. I think I was hitting it for sets of 10 and got to the bottom of a squat and couldn't get back up because this time around my right hamstring went, for lack of a better term. So the last sort of 6 to 8 weeks I've been dealing with a torn hamstring. I prepped for the Bodybuilding.com spokesmodel search final basically without training legs. What it taught me basically was that if you can avoid it, never rush the recovery process. Because I did, and ultimately I ended up injuring myself again. So now, as a consequence, I'm trying to learn from my mistakes and making sure that every time I train legs, every time I train any muscle group, I warm up properly. Which is why, right now, I'm on the bike doing a little bit of cardio because A, I'm terrified of it happening again, and B, I want to make sure that everything I do is preparing me as best as I possibly can be prepared for what I'm about to put my body through. So I got through a squat session the other day after an extended warm-up. Spent about 10 minutes on the bike the other day. I did probably 4 or 5 additional warm-up sets to what I would normally do, making sure that my body could handle the weight, whilst also doing some static stretching, which I wouldn't normally do, just to make sure that obviously I wasn't a chance of pulling anything. Obviously I had to sacrifice some form of explosive power in doing that. But for me, I'd much rather avoid another injury than be as explosive as possible right now. I think one of the biggest challenges with any injury, and honestly this is really the first time that I've been injured, so I haven't really gone through this before, but it's a huge mental struggle. Prior to the session that I got through a few days ago, I'd done a couple of squatting sessions, but each of them I had that nagging feeling in the back of my head, what if it happens again? What if what you're lifting right now is just too much for today? What if you get to that squat, or to the bottom of that squat, and your right leg can't quite push the way it should? And those few squat sessions I did before the one the other day really messed with me. I remember doing one of them and really favoring my left leg. I got to the bottom and I felt like, or at least I thought I felt like my right leg wasn't doing what it should be doing. And I felt like as I was coming back up out of the squat, I was almost twisting to favor my left leg just to protect my right. It's a real knock in the level of confidence that you have going into a lift. So I guess what I would try and suggest to anybody who has gone through an injury is to not rush the recovery process. The thing is, going to a specialist, going to a physio, going to somebody that can help, that knows what they're talking about, and getting a bit of an action plan as far as what you need to do moving forward before you get back into heavy resistance training, such as recovery work and rehab work. Absolutely essential. I worked with a physio after I tore my hamstring. Plenty of pillow squeezes, literally putting a pillow between my knees and squeezing my legs together as hard as I could. Plenty of eccentric work on the hamstring curl machine to try and build some sort of base level of strength back up. And whilst I haven't been all that great at doing it, I've been trying to incorporate a lot more stretching into my routine to make sure that while my hamstring does recover, it doesn't end up recovering in a really sort of tight manner and being super tight after the tear. So Flexibility is a big thing that I need to work on moving forward. I guess the thing is, if you do all this rehab work and you do take the appropriate time and take the appropriate steps to make sure that by the time you do get back into heavy lifting, you have every opportunity of knowing that you have done everything you possibly can to be as right as you possibly can for when you hit it hard again. And for me, the first time around, I didn't do that. I felt like I was good, the bar felt like it was moving well again, but the thing is, I didn't really do the appropriate work before that to be able to handle it, and that's why I ended up tearing my hamstring again. The nagging feeling in the back of your head that it might happen again, or that you may be not as strong as you once were, or maybe not having the confidence to hit the bottom of that squat like you would normally, that sucks. That happens to everyone. Anyone that says that doesn't happen to them after an injury, they're lying. But if you do absolutely everything you can do to be able to repair and recover as best you can, that's all you can do. Learn from any mistakes you make. Learn from my mistake. If you've never been injured, make sure you do the rehab work, do the recovery work, because being injured sucks. Being injured means you can't come to the gym as frequently or in a fashion that you would really like to do. So take your time. So you don't have to spend 20 minutes on the bike just to make sure you don't rip your leg in half again. Let's go squat.